Oh! Hi guys. It's not real. Let me read to you what it says. It's a 1 million. I might need to, I might be covering up the speaker. And I may need to move, but I wanted to be by these beautiful flowers. Look at them. They're so gorgeous. I'm close to the road though, so we'll see. Hope you guys are well. I want you to think about, before I read it, what you have given up for money, how much you worry about money, like how much does it enter your mind, how often. I need money for this, I need money for that. For me, it's been a huge stronghold passed down, and I've kept it, still have it. Not so much though, not so much lately. There's nothing more abundant than the present moment. Nothing at all. Oh, I put it away. Let me read it. Though I'm gonna be honest, when I saw it sitting on like a table or something in this hotel, it caught my eye by the elevator. I'm like, and then I picked it up. I'm gonna go ahead and move so I can make sure you guys can hear me. I'll come back for that. And I remember I picked it up. I go, no way. Like, no way. No way. This is for me? Universe? Money's nice. Money's fun. Money in our society has been the main energy source of exchange. And, so we get very excited to be able to spoil ourselves and our families, and definitely are happy to have the basic needs, right? Basic needs. I'm finding I need less and less food and more sunshine and water. Been doing like a liquid diet. Seems kind of weird when you hear about that if you're not used to it, but it's been really awesome. And sorry guys. And connecting me back to my body, purifying my being. We're gonna go over here by Vesta. I'm pretty sure this is Vesta, the goddess who protects the sacred flame. Hello, bee or wasp. All right, there's Vesta. So let me go ahead and read what this baby says. But yeah, what all have you, compromised on with money? For myself, it was a waitress job for way too long. My mom served tables, and so it was every weekend I was there. 2 jobs, missing out on my kids' lives, though I still made time to have that one-on-one good time. All right, so if you want a screenshot, it says, "In God we trust." Here's the $1 million question. I'm gonna take my hair down here. Here is the $1 million question. Will you go to heaven when you die? I'm sorry, I laugh. I don't mean to laugh. So close. There we go. That was better. That's the $1 million question. Will you go to heaven when you die? I was Christian for a decade, And I'm finding heaven, in my opinion, heaven can be here. And this isn't like to each his own all the time. And the truth is the beholders in the moment. Because for me, when I was Christian, it was definitely my truth. It was like a decade. And I liberated myself by someone I love deeply saying, "You don't believe everything in the Bible. Why do you say that you do?" And I was like, that's a good point. Let me look at that. And then I was like, I don't. And it was very, very liberating. I'm not saying anyone has to do that, but let me go ahead and read the rest. Here's a quick test. Have you ever lied, stolen, or used God's name in vain? Jesus said. Whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If you have ever done these things, God sees you as lying, thieving, blasphemous adulterer at heart. And the Bible warns that one day God will punish you in a terrible place called hell. But God is not wishing you should perish. There's more, but let's pause there. It's my video. I'm gonna give my truth. You don't have to watch it, but I hope you stick around to open your perspective maybe and allow yourself to think about what we just heard and to ask yourself if it resonates, if that feels right to you, okay? So, every single person, pretty sure, pretty high up there, has looked at another and been like, man, that person's hot. I can't wait to touch him, to kiss him, to whatever, right? And if you haven't, you're probably a nun. And more power to you. That's a beautiful path, I'm sure, in ways. But, okay, so there's that part. And what's crazy, which someone brought up recently, connection. Connection is something that, like touch, is something that heals and comforts in such a loving way, just touching ourselves. When you get back into your body and you can feel the softness of your being and you're not all in that hyper go masculine way. And when we can just enjoy that touch of ourselves, of another, it is so healing. And here we are connecting God, the one who gave us life, born naked, remind you, wanted us to produce, remind you, gave us the drive of our bodies, gave us boobs, gave us our private parts, the yoni, and the magic wand, is what I say. And we are not to look at each other and adore our beauty and be sexually attracted, which is a magnetic force of energy. The world is made of energy, and when you're magnetically attracted or drawn to someone, it's for a very good reason. Never should we be shamed to, in my opinion, always, right? To each his own. But to connect God to something like that and say God doesn't want you to do that, and He is gonna damn you to hell for looking at another, and that's basically all of us. How do we know we're attracted to a partner if we're not attracted to the partner? Is it that our body's supposed to go crazy and our mind is not supposed to think anything? And I'm not saying if you're married, then maybe you shouldn't do, then, when you're married, I feel different. You're supposed, you've made a commitment. That's a little more understandable. Not in the way of our God who created you is going to damn you to hell. God made us perfect. There's no, in my opinion, in my understanding and knowing of the growth, in the growth of my evolution, of my spiritual path, He doesn't make mistakes to where He needs to damn us to hell. The mistakes of life are for learning, for evolution, for growing. That's what evolution is. You evolve. A rose is perfectly orchestrated. Oh, I have a flower. I have some flowers with me. Like this one, for example. It's perfect. Oh, I think we lost a petal. You know, this purple part actually opens up and it's white when it's folded. Oh, sorry. And then it opens up and it reminded me of the crown chakra that blooms. It opens up. And then here's a succulent. They're so perfectly calculated and aligned. And do you honestly think that if He gave us sexual attraction, which we cannot control really, it's in the energy body, it's in the, it's in the energy. God gave us that to feel, to be able to feel who we should align with, who we should be attracted to. And to say not to look, it's so silly. And to say not to look, not only not to look, but we would be damned in hell. That's a serious as that sound is. That is a serious form of oppression. It's oppression. It is pushing a major natural law of the universe and twisting it into something that we're supposed to believe in, that has guilted us to our very essence of our being. And then we're taught, I'm going to elaborate on that, and then we're taught in our current society to choose a partner. We've been through so many different generations and themes of choose a partner because of money, choose a partner because of status, good genes, whatever. I don't really know. I didn't come from those sides of the tracks. I'm sure I did many lifetimes, but like all this imbalance, and we still have like cultures, and to each his own. I'll respect them, but in my truth, in this particular transmission of this video, I see that it's fucked up. I see that it causes a huge imbalance, which trickles down to so many things, right? Like we end up marrying people just because it's what we're supposed to do. I mean, we want to have children, right? So we just get with the first person that, we may find the least attractive as far as personality, or as far as looks or personality, or something has attracted us to them. And because of this pressure of time and this one partner in marriage, we have seen marriage rates increase and fell. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because we weren't paying attention to energy fully. Why? Because most people don't even know their energy, which you find in astrology. You don't have to find it there, I don't believe. But it is a really, really fantastic, beautiful way to find it fully. And from there, you can really, as you embody the energy, you can really align with that lover, with that spouse, right? And with that tribe. A little off subject, but still on it, because these oppressing ideals of religion and marriage marriage and family, they cause divorce, which causes, you know, I mean, maybe we're never supposed to marry just one partner, but that's a standard in our society. You know, maybe if we are to do that, maybe it's one that the the flames between you, the fire between you kind of does the dance for as long as it does. And there's no time attached to it of forever and ever, amen, you know. And it's okay if you have children that way, you know. So a lot of children are happy when they have a whole tribe raising them versus, you know, it takes a village type thing. Or at least two parents who they're compatible, right? They're compatible together. They're not just like, oh, well, we were attracted at one point, you know, before I really knew you, and I'm gonna stay with you though because we have kids. Oh my gosh, is that a popular one? I thankfully did not do that, though I almost stayed in a marriage that became abusive, and there's no need to judge because, you know, we come from the product of our parents. And I'm not saying don't ever stay in a situation like that at all, but it wasn't, you know, there's no reason to judge. We are all victims of, we're not all victims, that's terrible to say. We're all products of where we came from and of this out of balance old world that's ending. Thankfully. Sorry, but oof. I mean, to some it won't end. If you agree to that sort of stuff, if you want to, you know, believe in the mighty dollar to where you might not have your social life, you might be missing out on your kids' lives, coming home stressed out, putting that into the family mix. You might be married to someone, staying with them because of the money in more than one way. Like, oh, well, we have bills together, we have lease together, we have this together. It goes so deep, guys, so deep. You're safe. You are safe to be yourself. You are safe to say, I don't want this job. It is sucking the life out of me. The money's not worth it. I did. I've done that. And I'm happier than I've ever been. I'm more free than I've ever been. I'm going to move over here in the sun because I got cold. Oh. And there's such great secrets and beautiful laws of the universe that you open up to when you're willing to take the risks to let go of letting this rule your life, letting society's standards rule your life. If the marriage isn't working, the child is better off. You are better off. The child is better off if you are better off, regardless of any situation. You know, it's really self-love that we've lost as a basis, as a foundation in what our society is teaching us. Without self-love, you have nothing to give your family, your friends, yourself. Like, you can't, you know? It's and I'm still working on that process. But it gets better every day. But like, I'm laying down in the grass in front of this hotel right now, and I don't care because I'm comfortable and I'm free. And so many people would not be willing to do that. So many people would be like, and I struggle with it too, like this car passing by might be like, what's she doing? I don't care. I'd rather sit the way I want to sit, you know? And I'm not saying to just not care at all and be inappropriate or anything. We don't, you know, we want to respect others, but fuck, respect ourselves enough to be ourselves, right? You are divinely genuine. You're safe and supported by the light of the sun. The light of the sun gives everything on earth life. Stop eating so much. eat what you want, do what you want. But I dare you to just try. And choosing better for yourself as a self-love practice. Try getting energy from the sun by sun gazing. And you will tone down all that weight you've probably been bitching about for years. All those aches and pains that you might be on pharmaceuticals for. Like, the whole thing goes so deep and it's all so connected. Let's see what else we got here. And then to tie in God to these things is just so gross to me, because God made us perfect. Little babies come out so perfect and playful with their, holding onto their feet, smiling at the world like, I'm here and I'm abundant and I know it. Part of the abundance is we don't need to worry. The earth provides enough food and light and water. We don't need even half of the food that we've been taught. It's so crazy. The sun is energizing. Let the light into your body. Alright, so God punishes you, damns you to hell, but God is not willing that any should perish. So he will punish you to hell for looking at someone, because that's committing adultery in your heart, or lying and thieving and blasphemy. Sinners broke God's law and Jesus paid their fine. See, the problem with that, in my current understanding, as my third eye is opened and as I'm more connected to my divinely genuine self than ever, and feel so free and so happy, so soft, so blissful. Yeah, I'm close to an airport. It's John Wayne Airport. Nobody can do the work for us, There's so many people supporting us on our path. You've had angels and guides this whole time. This whole time you've had angels and guides, and they're willing and they're ready to help support you. Because why? Because that's the actual divine way it should be. I don't like to use the word should, but if a flower had a boss and the boss said, no, we don't give that flower sunlight, we're going to instead feed it sugar, pour sugar on it daily, and add some coffee beans and pound a banana in its fucking face. That motherfucker would wilt and die. Okay, it's not gonna bloom. It just shines up looking at the sun. And we are very similar to that flower. It gives life to everything. Our chakra systems, if you've heard of that, this shit's real. I thought it was a trend. I was like, I see all y'all walking that way. Something's up. Y'all are sheep. I'm not sure about chakras. So real. So real. And the sun, we have a rainbow inside of us of energy portals. I know it sounds crazy. Like, where's your unicorn? It's coming. No. It sounds crazy because we've lived in a crazy society. I'll pause. The new world is, guys. It's just going back. New world. And I don't mean new world order. I don't even know what that means. I think it's something with the military. Honestly, I don't know. I should know, but I just know the things that I love and I'm into. But the age of Aquarius, the awakening, the change of people doing tarot cards and astrology, and anyone who's religious, anytime I mention astrology or tarot, they freak out and think I'm doing witchcraft. And it doesn't matter if they know me or not. And if you know me, like know me, that's such an insult, because I've always been so good at heart, you know? I mean, it's an insult. I feel bad for, them, like, to judge me so quickly like that. And most of the time, they've never had a tarot reading, they've never had an astrology reading. And it's so weird that we get that way, like, to judge something without even trying it first. It's always weirded me out. Not to say you have to try everything, but, if you're paying attention to energy, you know that it will feel right or not. But most of us are so desensitized to our natural energy because we don't know the astrology for our own charts. You have way more than the horoscope sign, which is the sun sign, which is the heart space. So it's so beautiful. But you have a moon sign, a Mars, everything was in the sky that day, and they are very prominent. They influence us in ways, like Venus's relationships and love. I'm going to create a love reading, a love chart reading. I'm excited about that, so that you guys can kind of use it as a guidance tool, in your relationships. But let's go back to this. I think it's a lot like ants too, ants just know where to go, they stay together. I need to find the ant in my tarot deck, the spirit animals, or the book, and read it, because they've been showing themselves to me a lot. Okay, there's more. What I was saying was nobody can do the work but us. And I'm just now clearing my chakras and being in the year of 2020. Like, honestly, when I was listening to my astrologer's advice to come to that it was a good time to move, and just all the things that he was talking about what's to come, I could have had myself set up so much better than I did. But I got here and I got back in that south node, and I got pulled back. Everything wants to pull us backwards, guys. Everything does. You have to reach for the light. You have to choose it, and it's connected to the purity of your soul. If we create any world, let it be a world that is of integrity. Let its leaders come from a place of integrity. I feel we can all agree on that. Maybe not all of us, but most of us. Why are we so living in so much duplicity? Teaching our children to constantly telling them no, which is terrible, and teaching them to there's an ant on me right now. Teaching them to, oh, don't fight, don't hit. Oh, let's sit down and communicate about it, which is great. It's beautiful. And yet we go to war, We don't have to live in a world like this. We do not. It's not like it'll get fixed overnight, but if we don't make changes, it never will. If we keep agreeing and keep being these sheep, or even better, I like that the Leo King used the hamster wheel on this last, I forget which one he said it on his High Vibe TV app. He does so many videos on there. It's really, really helpful. So helpful. Yesterday I had a freaking meltdown, breakdown. Oh my God, it was ugly. It was so ugly. And had I used his advice, and I got the advice, and I was like, holy shit, I was about to do the opposite of that. And I was like, thank God. And I was gonna go to the beach, and instead I was like, no, I'm gonna organize this. And it was really, yesterday was a day where we really shouldn't control. And for me, that controlling aspect is the south node. And oh my God, did it get me out of my element so much. So much came out of it that was so gross and disgusting. And I blamed people around me. It was so toxic and ugly. And and then something, and it became this beautiful transformative experience though. And I want to talk about this stuff, and I want you guys to feel comfortable to talk about this stuff. We don't have to hide. Us hiding our truths is literally hiding our light, because we pile on lies and masks and faces for society and for relationships, and before we know it, we're so covered in them we don't realize it. The biggest one, I believe, is our own mind. Our own mind will feel an energy, right? Let's say an attractive energy that we're attracted to. And from that, like, that's beautiful, that's great, let it be that. And it'll do whatever it's supposed to do. It'll vibe out, when it's supposed to. It'll be beautiful when it's supposed to. Don't put time limits on it and stories to it. And it's a daily fight, because our minds are used to assessing and attaching, and some more so than others. And astrology can help you with that too. It can tell you your strengths and weaknesses, and do not, please do what you do. Sorry. But if someone is telling you what you are, no. It's got to be the freedom of the individual. It will resonate or not. Because these ancient truths have a lot of solid ground proof. And so it's, most likely will resonate. But I just like the idea of us checking in with the other person. Like, is that, because it gets too boxy. And then we're creating another system that is not free. And nobody should feel that way. Nobody should feel that way. Like, for example, my sun sign is Virgo. Okay, so Virgos like to clean. I don't like to clean. I do a good job when I do, and I don't mind it when I get focused enough to do it, but like, I don't enjoy it. I don't want to do it. Why? Because I have so much Libra. Libra just wants to sit around at the beach. They want to take it easy because they're thinking about a lot of shit, which is the negative. It's good to assess things, but so they all have their things. Virgo's said to be organized. No, I am totally not that, but I'm learning to embody it. And it's not to discredit it. There's something called houses in astrology, and the house that my Virgo sits in is the 12th house of Pisces, and that's the spiritual house, and I've always resonated with that energy, and the aspects of Virgo that I do like and that I do see in myself, not that I like, but that I see in myself, I also like, are the health conscious parts. They've got a health consciousness to them, a service to others. But there's so much in astrology that's helpful, and it connects you back to your soul map. That's what I like to refer to it as. It's your soul map. And it's important to adhere to a really great astrologer, which is not myself. Not to discount myself, because I know if you've talked to me, I know a shit ton compared to the average bear. But like I was just mentioning, I constantly struggle with it because it's a pull, especially if you've lived, for me, I lived most of my life, and I'm 38, going backwards to the south node, the tail of the dragon, in which you're supposed to go towards the head, the north node. That's how you evolve. And that's just one major aspect, and it was quite hurtful to have my freak out. I own it because I own me. You know what I mean? I allow myself, but I'm not disappointed, but because I don't want to vibe that. I'm grateful that I can learn to communicate better, and I'm grateful that the ones I'm connected to have so much more love in their hearts than I do at this point, that they are able to accept and acknowledge and forgive. And I mean, I believe I would too, but I can be so harsh, especially when we allow the mind to confuse us, and that's what it was. There's, astrology has ley lines, and my ley line for California is Neptune, and that has, it sometimes brings a fogginess to the mind and stuff like that. So anyway, let me just finish up with this. No, not finish up, but keep going. So God can legally dismiss their what? Sinners broke God's law and Jesus paid their fine. Right, nobody can do the work but us. You have great support. Great support. You really can quit your job and be fine. You really can do anything you want. Matter of fact, you're supposed to. We're supposed to chase our hearts, We're supposed to be happy. I don't like to use the word supposed to, but for this I will. Sinners broke God's law and Jesus paid their fine. Nobody can pay it for us, guys. That's outside of ourselves. That's what I believe, and that's what I've experienced in the evolution of it. And I used to believe Jesus thing 100%. If you believe it and that's your path. Do what you do. But if there's doubt in your mind, it's okay to liberate yourself. The sun is still shining on you. Your heart is still beating. The creator of you loves you in all of your forms. All of your forms. Your Christian self, your evolved self. Not to say you're not evolved from Christian, but just every aspect of you. Every part on your path, the light supports you. Because it gave you life to do that. To play, to have fun, to grow. You're not going to be damned to hell. I'm not saying go and do dark things. The real fight right now. The honest to God, to goodness, real fight right now is between dark and light souls. Not black or white people. That's a distraction, always has been. Dark or light souls. Let's think about who has the lightest light on earth. Animals, children, and how quickly that's dimmed. Our children in our current education system and our current understanding of how to be a parent while working these jobs and doing in this masculine energy. When really you can just sit here. You can just sit in the sun. Drink some fresh water. Go to the beach. Make a video about important stuff. Or whatever you feel like doing. Whatever your passion is. It takes some uncovering, and it takes taking a risk. When I came to California in my van, I had less than $200. Me, my van, and my doggy. And leaving children who were with their dads. But that's hard for any mom, no matter if they're home with you or not, especially any good mom. It was hard. Fucking hard as fuck. But what was harder was staying in situations that were unfair and not fucking working for shit. No matter what I did, not working at all. And everyone, if you know me and have gone through that with me, oh my God, it was so tough. And every time I turned, it just kept on. And, a lot of it I contribute to the law of attraction. And then now, even more, I contribute to K2, the South Node. It's so important. I'm putting together a reading for that if you're interested. And I have the free astrology Trinity reading where I go into your sun, moon, and ascendant it's a video reading, and you can order like for $2 the written one. I have to give a free reading, guys. This is like, we're abundant. I have everything I need. I mean, I don't have everything I need, but you know, I don't have an apartment or home right now. I don't have my own things like that. I don't have, but I have everything that I have more than I could ever dream of internally. The inner garden is getting a good mending. This means that God can legally dismiss their case. Legally. Pretty sure. I mean, there are universal laws, but I'm pretty sure God, there's no cases God has to hear. I don't know. Because there's dark souls. There is. We can't deny that there's darkness in the universe. I've tried to and put myself in really weird situations trying to help others, and almost lost my life, not in the way of like a shooting or like a dangerous fight situation, but in just being so overly compassionate with people that are on the street, wanting to save them. And when you are around certain energy, it comes to you more and more and more. I couldn't figure out, and then I finally did, why there were people not with their noses in the air at all, but like they wouldn't like give too much care to the homeless. They would ignore them. And as a child, I always cared, like, but why? They're people. And the energy is why. I'm not saying not care. We should definitely care. We should give back when we feel we should. But for me to surround myself by lower vibe energy, it was giving that magnetic pull to the dark side to want to pull me off of my light path. So it's very real. Most people know that. I just care for the human. I care for the heart, that childlike heart, that fire, that sacred flame that Vesta protected. That's what I think the sacred flame was that she protected. The inner child, the heart space, the soul. Because when you connect to that, it's when the magic happens. You understand abundance. Abundance is in the present moment. The present moment is what God wants us to enjoy. And in that, we're free. It's a process because of the way we're so far from that. But more than you can imagine opens up. You connect to nature and to any life you want, really. His only begotten Son, that whoever dismiss their case. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Now, I'm going to agree with this sentence in the way of the sun and understanding that everlasting life is from our soul. That sacred fire continues lifetime upon lifetime. If you're attracted to someone intensely, like we started with this $1 billion message, or million, it very well could be that you've lived lifetimes together, working towards meeting this life. And how dare man and women create and support, guilty here, a religion that says damned to hell. That we'll be damned to hell, and that we can't be the powerful, wonderful creator, beautiful, perfect co-creator, perfect selves, just the way we are. Just the way we are. Oh, how dare we, that's what I was saying, how dare we create a society that tries to cover everything that we are, the energy. They try to suppress astrology, or they do. And the universal laws, they had to keep the heart, they had to keep the light. That's why I've only had the horoscope, the sun sign. Tarot as a divination tool is so fun. I was intuitively led to it, and I did not know that it was linked to astrology until after, and it's really cool. But a divination tool is really neat because it allows the magic to happen. The magic in the present moment is like connecting to the now, and a bird passing in your consciousness sees it as a message. Seeing numbers in your consciousness sees that as a message. The sun's shining and you're at the pool and you feel great. You're abundant in that moment. You feel a nudge to go smell a flower, and then a hummingbird does a dance in front of you. It's happened. And then you find $20. And then you realize what meant more to you was the hummingbird dance, because you can't put a value on that. And that you'd spent so many years worried about the money. I was so grateful to not be attached to that $20. 2 days before, I would have been like, wow, yeah, oh, awesome. I was grateful, but like the hummingbird, you can tell when they do it for you. It's so beautiful. It's a lot of planes right now. Guys, I just want you to consider what you dislike in your local environment. Because the nodes, the dragon I was referring to, are in Gemini and Sagittarius. And we need to look at facts. And facts are energy. It doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. When you practice thinking positive thoughts, you feel your energy rise. When you get negative, our energy goes spiraling down, like I polluted my being and others with yesterday. And I need to let it go. Learn to communicate in those tough times. I don't know how y'all's day was yesterday. There was a square to Venus, and my chart's ruled by Venus. I have 5 planets in Libra, so Venus is pretty heavy. And it hit me hard. And I had the guidance. And I'm grateful to know that as I get that guidance, I'm listening. I'm not doing that. It's not worth it. Energy is everything. If I stayed like that, I would attract that to me. Those lower vibes. So you can't like vibe out of it. So to vibe out of homelessness, I've had to detach. And it's hurt people. People that I've, I only like made a couple friends, because I'm just that way. I like to be by myself. But at the same time, I didn't want to be around, like, not to judge people, but about 98% have an addiction problem. And I don't want to really be around that, I just don't. And I'm not judging it either. Everyone is on some kind of medicine, whether it's a plant-based that teaches you, whether it's the sun is your medicine, astrology is your medicine, whether it's cannabis, prescriptions that give you side effects that are legal, or it's the illegal ones. What I love the most is freedom for the individual to choose. Because you know what? When we're babies, And children know. Children are closer to God than anyone else. And if we're born into a free society like that, and taught about energy and astrology, and crystals, and flowers, and how to grow our own food, and how to drink clean water, and how to fill into the body and meditate, there's no having to undo all this shit. We'll just flow so naturally and bloom so naturally like a flower, like ants coming together. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this and then read that ant thing. I might pull some tarot cards. For God so loved the world that, okay, I already did that. Oh, and so I do agree with that as far as it being the sun, because it's done so much for me. It's done so much awareness. It gives everything life. We know that. One of the first things we're taught is don't look at the sun. Don't look at it. Guys, look at the sun, you know? Build up to it. Do it in the early morning and do it in the evening, and do it whenever you feel after that. Oh, I gotta shift. Hey. Back over here by Vesta. There's some sunshine by my bags. Oh my gosh. I was sitting out there. Oh, my shoe too long. Oh my gosh. Well, I felt that right. The sprinklers came on. Holy shit. I wonder if I need to move these. Gotta pay attention to energy. That would have been a crazy shower. Funny. They're rinsing my words. Wash it off. Yeah, wash off all that stuff. Keep it good. Alright. I'm gonna go down here by where I saw the hummingbird that danced with me. That danced with me. I mean, did a little, made itself known to me. It's really cool. And that very well may not be what happens to you as you choose to liberate yourself and go back to your childlike heart. Take the risk, guys. And you know what? Small things make a huge difference. One of my greatest teachers said that, and it stuck. Little words and phrases will stick sometimes with me. Oh, it's over there, but I'm gonna go over here. I was like, wait a minute, we got some roses over here. I love being by flowers, they're so beautiful. I gotta go pee. Oh, goodness. I know the world's crazy right now. Oh. And it's for good reason, you know? And I don't mean the good reason is to protect us from some sickness. I mean, the good reason is to change from this old system into a new one. For guys to wake up and understand that this isn't something new, that we've been oppressed, that we've had leaders that are corrupt. You know, this isn't new. This is something that we've always had to fight for. Then Jesus rose from the dead, defeating death. Today, repent and trust Jesus, and God will give you eternal life as a free gift. Then read the Bible daily and obey it. God will never fail you. Loving Waters. You know, God will not ever fail you. Of course not. It's the Creator that made you. He, she, it, Source, the divine, whatever it is that holds the fate of the stars, the fate of the energetic alignments, the fate of the rising of the sun, the setting of the sun, the fate of your heartbeat and your breath, right? There's that, and then we get to play such a huge part in it. We get free will, and our society has greatly suppress this magic. And by magic, I mean it's magical to have roses. What does that? You tell me. Is it a governed, controlled system telling it how to grow, where to grow, and that it needs to in a certain way? No. It just is. It was born here to be free, and it just is. And it emanates this beautiful smell. Love it. California's so great with roses. They're everywhere, everywhere. I love the nature here. I love it here, honestly, so much. Fragrance is magical. You can't see it, but it's there. Isn't it the bee that is too heavy to carry himself? Oh, hello, bee. But it does. There's magic all around us. You are magical. And, the sad truth is that they've tried to suppress us in so many ways, and to entangle God in that, the one that gives us life, and to say we're imperfect. Listen, we are imperfect because that's how we grow. If we don't have challenges, right? Then it would be an amazing experience in which we learn to get there. But the challenges are for our growth. Not for us to feel guilty and condemned and to give someone outside of ourselves that. How many times have you heard that in church? Like, this used to bother me in church. I'm gonna take off my shirt. Don't worry. I have another one on. I need to freak out. How many times has it been like, oh, I used to watch Joyce Myers. She's like a lady pastor, and I forget where she's like based out of, but she was cool. I liked her because she told it like it is, type thing. Here's some roses for you guys. And it's freaking hot. And she would comment on how, I'm gonna go over here in the shade. She would comment on how she would sneak off and smoke a cigarette in her car after church. And be ashamed and embarrassed because, why would we do that? Why would we be honest in church and actually admit that we just had a cigarette? That might be truth. Yet the Bible is telling us that we're sinners if we're not truthful, right? So much duplicity. And the duplicity has been divine as well. Astrology shows this as well. It's the age of Pisces dying, leaving us. The age of Pisces. The trouble with Pisces, which was my meltdown yesterday, because Neptune rules Pisces. And there's duplicities, okay? And if you're a Pisces, like my little girl's a Pisces, and she's the sweetest, softest, sweetest girl. It's just awareness. We all have shadows and strengths, okay? Well, in the energy of that mutable water, you gotta think what water is. Water is in the realms of energy, right? Sorry for moving the camera around so much. The Pisces has, if you think of the two fish, it has a duplicity, and we're leaving the age of Pisces. The duplicity is, so it rules the spiritual realms, right? It rules the dream world. It rules music. It rules the best things. I love it so much. That's why I guess, resonated more with the house than anyways. Well, when we think of these things and we think of the opposite sign of Pisces, which is Virgo, Virgo's here and now and practical and fine details to make it better. And so then Pisces being its opposite, it's other things we can't see. And it is the mutable water. And so mutable water is picking up emotions and picking up, because water is feelings, it's picking up all kind of feelings. So Neptune and Pisces have an illusionary fact to it, a delusion to it. Mental health you can find in this house and in this energy. Not saying Pisces have mental health issues. No, not at all. Everyone is susceptible to that. Everyone has Pisces and Neptune in their chart. But the awareness of the energy and what to do with these energies. Like when I have a school for children and I base where to put them according to their astrology to help them learn. Conscious Children's Academy, I'm probably going to rename it. Someone with Pisces energy, mutable water, I'm going to teach them that that getting into water and practicing rituals to cleanse off the energy they pick up is very beneficial for their mental health, right? I think that's beneficial for all of us, but mutable energy even more, okay? And music for them, and painting and art and their spiritual interest. We want to take their interest and their strengths from astrology as well as their interests. This is where the freedom is too. It's not like, okay, well, you're a Pisces, you're going to have to go to music class. Because like for me, like for that person, I have all this Libra energy, and so that wouldn't have worked for me. We can't just say, oh, your sun sign is Pisces, I'm gonna put you here. It can't be this like system like that. It always needs to go back to, listen, I think this is best for you according to your astrology, or because this is what I feel you need, or because you've expressed this to me, but what do you feel? That's where the value is, guys. That's what true freedom is. And we can create this. I know it seems like we can't. I know there's a lot going on in the world, but we can. Did I ever finish this guy? Yeah, so I don't believe that we should ever, and it's okay. It is okay to broaden your mind about God and spiritual stuff, and it's okay to choose different. And I'm not telling you to, I'm just bringing awareness. I'm bringing awareness that has saved my life. Never would I go back. Never. But it did me well. It was my light. It was my connection to the light for the time that I was there, But once you realize once you're free from it, then you realize the negatives of it, the controlling factor of it, the oppression of it, and how dare they mix the beauty. Work for the rose. That's not how this magical existence works, But I want to encourage you guys that it's okay. It really is okay to open your mind. This is free will. This is the beauty that you get. And it's okay. You'll be okay if your faith, if your spiritual ideals change. That's what's happening right now naturally for all of us. And so if you're feeling like you haven't ever fully been on board with church or religion, that's okay. There's another way to connect to spirit. You've known all along that it didn't feel right. Try astrology. It connects you to the energy. it connects you to your life purpose, because like I did for 20 years, nothing was going right, and I was like so confused. I was so innocent in it, and like I wasn't a perfect person by any means. Never are you if you're in the South Node. But it wasn't a fair, just thing happening, and I could see no matter what I did, it was just not working. And as a mom, that was really hard in our society to have to swallow and to have to see and liberate myself from, to save myself, and then later learn even more this year that it was the South Node. And that is from, you know, the awareness we can find in the energy of the stars. Connects us back so we can be the rose gleaming up at the sun that does give your soul, your sacred heart. Do you know that the child heart is the sacred fire that the world's tried to cover and done very well at? I know it doesn't seem logical. But is it logical to follow things that don't make you happy? Is that logical? That's right. It's time to go. Did you hear that? That's a sign from the universe. It's time to go. There's no need to stay at anywhere that's not happy. It doesn't feel good. You know what? My whole life, I have gotten through my path solely based on faith. When I'm Christian, when I wasn't Christian, before I was Christian, there was a lot of unsafety around me as a child. Not a lot of love, unfortunately. I love my parents, but not a lot, you know. And as I grew and made my own choices, bad choices, good choices, I just always relied on faith. And that same faith didn't matter if I was participating in one religion from another religion to another religion to non-religion to spirituality, because it was what is connected to my heart, my soul, my inner being. It changed in ways. I fell off course because it's hard to change belief systems. That's not what fell me off course, but it's hard for the mind to understand, wait, I've referred to you as Jesus, and I believe the story. It'll really trip you out. It'll make you feel crazy. But this society, in my opinion, is crazy. Having children wear masks, it's not even about the mask really. But you know what has really been the anchor for me is the astrology. The astrology is the energy. And energy doesn't lie. Remember, when you're positive, you feel it. When your mind starts playing that negative story, or you're around something negative, your body starts to warn you like, whoa, whoa. And if it's not, don't worry. When you clean your diet a little bit more, you can eat whatever you want. But for my experience, as I clean my daughter, my intuitiveness is heightened, my body awareness is heightened, the magic opens up greatly, especially plant-based. But again, to each his own, always freedom, freedom, freedom for the individual. Because we know what we want. We just got to give ourselves permission. I love you guys. If you need anything in these difficult moments, in this transformational period, in this transition, please reach out. I would love to help you. I know these times are hard and intense, and once you get through it, it's very liberating and peaceful and soft. I love you guys. Cheers.